Hey guys, it's Carla. Today I'm working on a canvas panel with acrylic paint. This is white, golden sunset, candy pink, admiral blue, and burnt umber. And this is a paint extender. You can also use glazing liquid. So what I'm going to do first, just to soften things up, I'm going to coat my canvas with the paint extender. And this will make my paint glide better and just soften the edges of it. So I've got a pretty heavy coat of it on there. Alright, so I'm going to start with just a flat hog bristle brush, and actually that's not flat, that's a filbert, but that's the one I'm going to use. So I'm going to mix up color to start with in my sky. So I think I'll go with white and a little bit of that golden color. And I want to keep it very loose. I'm just kind of scumbling around. I want my land is going to be down here. So I want this area to be lighter so that my figures will show up on it. And a little bit brown. Okay, now I'm going to rinse that out on my brush so that I don't end up with green. And I'm going to mix up a blue and white shade. Now your sky is not going to look exactly like mine, so just kind of play around with it until you like it. Alright, now I'm going to come back with just white. And just right here where my ground is going to meet the sky, make sure it's nice and bright. Okay, I think that's good on my sky. Actually, I'm going to put one more color in there. Just a very pale pink. I don't know how well you can see that on the monitor, but it adds softness to it. I'm really working on my lighting in my studio. It's not good. And if you'll notice, the finished painting looks like a different color than this one, but it's the same painting. It's just this lighting is so bad. So I am going to work on that. All right. So now with that same brush, I'm going to put my ground in. And maybe this same color, but I need more of it and maybe a little different shade. I want it to be fairly light because when I put my shadows in, they're going to be dark, so I want them to show up against the lighter ground. So I'm just going to tap this in. So it's going to start about right here and end about right here. So, but you don't want a straight line. So just kind of wavy, I guess. I like to have some texture in the ground, so, but I don't want to get it too dark, so you've got to be careful with that. And then with a clean brush, I'm going to tap out that edge, soften it up. All right. Now I'm going to have to dry this before I move on because it's still very wet, and the paint extender is the reason for that. It keeps it wet longer. So if you want your paint to stay pliable for a while, then that's a good idea to use. So I'm going to dry it and I'll be right back. Okay. Now I'm going to start putting my figures in, and I'll show you how to draw these, but I'll also make the traceable for it in case you don't want to draw them yourself, if you want to just trace them on. So I'm using a flat synthetic brush, and I'm going to start with Jesus and then move on to the kids. But what I want to do is mix up a shade like it's not really a skin tone. I mean, I guess it could be, but just a neutral shade to start with to make my shapes, and then I can come back and add color to them for their clothes and stuff. Okay, so for him, I'm going to start about right here and just kind of scumble in a head shape, nothing too precise, and then I'll bring down like the robe sleeve, kind of like that. And on this side, same thing, because he's holding the kid's hands. And then just down on the sides. Try to avoid like straight lines. And then I'll put his feet in later. All right, so I'm going to move on to this one, and I'll have their hands connecting after a while, but right now I'm just putting in the head and body. So head right there, just some kind of shape for the clothes. Again, nothing too precise. And that one will have an arm, and then I'm gonna maybe make this one a little shorter. So there's the head, a body shape, it's just a blob. And I'll come in and put the legs in later. Maybe this one a little taller than that one. Sometimes the blob shapes that you make kind of later on determine what maybe what they're doing or their position or whatever, and you may not know that while you're painting it. So this one, it's going to be like, this one is kind of on the other side of the hill. All right, now I'll start over here and maybe a head right here. Maybe a shorter one here. You can just make this up as you go if you're drawing it yourself. I'll make this one taller. Maybe there's one over there that can't really see. Okay, now I'll come back with my round brush and use that same color to put in the arms and legs. So his hand comes out right there, and then this little one is holding hands with him. Got a hand right here, holding this one's hand. Then maybe an arm here, and an arm here, and they're holding hands. I'll come back and do their legs after a while. just want them to all be holding hands. Alright, now they need some legs. The legs can be a little bit darker because they're usually in shadow. Okay, let's see. You can see that these don't have to be, they don't really have to look like body parts. They just, your mind will know that they are. Anybody that looks at it, their mind will know that what these are. Okay. All right, now I can start adding colors. And I'm going to go back to my small flat brush for that. Okay, so his hair can be dark. You can use any brush you want for this, but I'm just using this one. I might make all of them have fairly dark hair, but different shades maybe. Okay, and then I can come back and put in different colors here and there. Okay, and now maybe a gold color for him. Being that he's our king. I'll come back to him. I'll go ahead and get all of their clothes colored first. Okay, so maybe except a lavender color maybe. And since I've already got that base color on there, then I don't have to cover everything. I'll just leave some of that kind of peeking through. Okay, now I'm going to come in with my liner brush and put in some of my darker shades. So just want to mix up a good shadow color for the clothes. Okay, don't want to get too detailed with it. In fact, on theirs, I want it to be much lighter. Okay, now I'm still using that liner brush. I could switch to the round brush, but I'll just use this. I want to darken up some of their legs, especially right where it comes out of the clothes. Okay. Still with the liner brush, I'm going to give them some highlights because the light is coming from back here, so there's going to be some bright, I don't want to say outline on their clothes, but almost. And this just kind of helps it stand out more too. So I'm keeping it mostly on this side where the light's coming from. And I don't want to make a solid line around these, so I'm just kind of skipping, letting my brush skip. Now on this side, the light's gonna be on the left instead of the right. I'm going to thin down some white for highlights on his robe. Don't want it to be bright, bright. Okay, now I'm going to come in with the shadow. So I'm going to bring some water over and thin down some brown. And I'm using a round brush for this. Okay, so I've got to determine, maybe most of my light is coming from about right here, which means I've got to make the shadows kind of make sense. So if the light is coming from there, then my shadow is going to be angled like this. And the ground is rough, so the shadow is not going to be perfect. So my light is here. So my shadow will be coming this way on this one. And even more on this one. And then over here, it's going to be angled that way, so bring it over like that. All right, now I want a little bit of roughness in the ground, so I'm going to use my hog bristle fan brush without a lot of paint on it and just kind of tap in some more texture. Okay, let's see. Now, one thing you can do, if this is dry down here, you can wait for it to dry if you want. I'm gonna hope that it's dry enough, but I'll get this right here where I know it's dry. If you wet it with just a little bit of water, you can come back with like something with a point on it and make like grass. And basically you're just scraping down to the canvas. This just adds a little more interest to it. All right, that does it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, God bless you.